Hi guys, welcome back. Here we have I'm gonna be talking about how I wired my fuel pumps to the system. This is the disclaimer. I have to say it, but this is how I do it. This is by no means I'm no means by any means any electrical expert or any of this. This is my way of doing things, and I encourage you to have somebody that actually does this for a living do it for you. But I'm just going to show you the way I diagram so you have an idea. So if you have somebody that is going to perform this kind of work on your car, that you can maybe show them so they have an idea of how I solve some of my problems. So I'm going to start off first with, in this truck, I like to run my mechanical pump, right? Right here is the tank selector, so I can choose right or left tank, and it also has the sender signal to here. So from here it sends the signal to the fuel gauge on which tank I'm using, and it'll measure the tank. This is on the military. On my other trucks I put it on the seat box where it's easier to be reached, but this one was obviously already installed on this truck, so I'm going by that. So I'm going to show you where the valve is, the tank selector valve, and it is right there, right here. Up, I think it's the right, and then down is the left tank. Okay, I rebuilt that valve a few years ago, and I constantly use it. It's a little hard to reach when driving. You gotta reach over here, take off the seatbelt, and reach for it. But that's, neither here nor there. So, anyways, so the problem was that the tank selector was over here, meaning the fuel is being dragged from the fuel tank, and then goes to the selector valve over here, and then it comes out of the top of the valve, up and over into the mechanical fuel pump. That's how it was originally set up. So because the two lines of each fuel tank come here, here's one line, here's the other line coming straight from the fuel tank, I put my electrical valve, I should say my electrical fuel pump, I put it up here, but it never worked. I used a fast set fuel pump, very high, it had really good specs, but it never quite worked well. It wasn't able to make the suction from all the way from the gas tank through here, and I hardly ever got good pressure out of it. So I removed it. Took it out, and now I have two fuel pumps, one here and one here. I'm going to show you. Because I can no longer use one fuel pump, I have to put two. So I have an SU. This is the AUF 214, I believe that, if I'm correct. And I've had these on all my Land Rovers. So now I have to use two on this truck. So I have my first one here. This one is for the right tank. And then here is the second one for the left tank. They each have their pre-filter to catch any debris from going into the pump. This one has it down here. So I have another filter here. So I'll show you now how I wired it. Now that you understand the locations of the components, it'll be a little easier to understand my diagram. So first of all, I'm running the fuel pumps off of this auxiliary fuse block, and this is a Blue Sea auxiliary fuse box. I don't have a breaker. I just ordered a breaker, which I have to install right here in line with the battery, but I don't have that in there yet. So where do I start? Okay, so as you see, I have the battery. I'm gonna be adding a fuel break, a breaker, and then I have the blue C box, right? Those those relays, those two fuel pumps are being controlled by a relay, and I did connect it to trigger the relay. The relay is triggered by the ignition switch, the key ignition switch, and I did that so that I would never, when I'm taking long trips, I don't end up like leaving the ignition on and then running the pumps, therefore draining my battery, right? So I had an extra in it, this one here, one of these two. It's either this one or this one, but each one of these is actually a load. One of these is for the to trigger the lights on the relay for the hella light, ultra light, and then the other one is for the fuel pump. So I believe this is the one for the fuel pump. Piggyback off of that, and it's triggering the relays. Each relay has their own line up there. So anyway, so the ignition turns on the relays, and it's a very little draw, but that is a safety so that it doesn't end up draining my battery in case I ever forget to turn off the fuel pump. I can actually, it'll automatically turn off with the ignition switch. That being said, I'm gonna go back to the diagram. So here it is. So you got the key ignition switch triggering the relay, and then I have direct power from here to the first relay, and then pulling the on and off switch to the fuel pumps, electrical pumps, I should say, electrical fuel pumps. So the reason I did that is because I usually run my mechanical pump on the road, and I only use the electrical fuel pumps as backups in case this one fails, which is the mechanical, or simply to prime the lines in the morning to get the truck started. Once the lines prime, I turn it off, and the mechanical fuel pump takes over delivering the fuel to the carburetor. So I have an on and off switch, and this one, it'll either control both of the switch. Whenever you turn this on, it'll control both of the fuel pumps. So in this switch, I get to select right or left fuel pump, right? So this one goes to the left tank, and this one here goes to the right tank. So this selector here is off in the middle, on the left, on the right. So I'm going to show you those switches now. So here's the I'm going to put in my key so you guys can hear it. Let me see if I can find the right key. Okay, so here we go. You can hear the relay already click. So here is the on off. This actually sends power to this switch, and this switch right now is in the middle, and if I turn to the right, it's already primed, so you're not gonna see any hearing, any clicking off of it, because right now it's been primed. So this switch is basically on off, and this is my tank selector. To the right is the right tank, to the left is the left tank, and here in the middle I can basically turn both of them off right there too as well. So even if I have power to here, there's no power being transferred to it. The power is transferred here, but it's not going to any of the fuel pumps. So I'm going to open this up to show you guys how this works. So here is the switches, right? So the bottom one, as we spoke, it was just an on off. So power comes in, power goes out, and then here it is. The middle one takes in power from the relay, and then this one here, the yellow one, goes to the left tank, and then the what is it, gray, like with purple, goes to the left tank. Actually, no, I'm sorry, this one goes to the right tank. Wait, opposite. It's opposite. This one goes to the left tank, this one goes to the right tank. And so here I have it down here. I'm gonna disconnect it. This is the one with the white. This one goes to the fuel tank on the right, the fuel pump on the right. Let me put it back in so I don't forget. And then there's this wire here that comes from the fuse box and from the relays. It just basically sends power to the and ground to the other fuel pump on that side. Now you could simply run a ground to the chassis, but I don't like to do that, especially when fuel pumps, because they're so sensitive sometimes. So what I do is I run just a complete ground to the box. I have a ground to here and I have a power to here, so everything is grounded straight from the battery. I don't rely on the chassis for the fuel pumps. So you can see here that I have the negative ground coming from the fuse box. It goes to here, and then from here it continues another line to the other one to ground it, and then you have the two, separate. This is the one on the tank selector here, so you can go left or right depending on how you turn it. And so yeah, that's how it is. So just a little, I showed you guys this earlier. So this is the right fuel tank and that my left, and then here it goes to this fuel pump. Fuel pump feeds the valve, and then same thing here, fuel tank, filter, fuel pump feeds the valve, and then the valve selects between right or left into the mechanical fuel pump, and then from there that mechanical fuel pump delivers to the carburetor. If something goes wrong with this one, these electrical fuel pumps are able to bypass, just push the fuel through and onto the carburetor. That's what's nice about having them in line. And then the same thing goes to where when you're driving, the mechanical fuel pump is able to bypass the electrical fuel pumps through just using the mechanical pump. So far it's been working great. This is how I wire my my system. On the other truck I had only one pump, and the selector was right next to the seat box, so I was able to get away with one pump. But on this truck I have to go with two because of the placement of the tank selector location, which is that bugger right there. Focus. Yeah, the fuel pump selector here. Fuel tank selector. So yeah, that's the way I'm gonna kind of like put this here, and you can kind of, like I said, I'm no expert in this. That just is just the way I did it. Please just consult to like a somebody that's expert in running this sort of wires and these systems, they might do it a little different. But hope you got something out of this. Hope you guys have learned a little bit of how I do it on my ambulance, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.